Welcome to the Rocky and Meisty Show presented by Jew Stool. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Let's get right into it.
You're completely missing the boat, Amr. You're at the wrong dock.
I'd have to say this. If he's looking to go to a new team, the last thing he wants to do is be like, oh, I'm not. No, he's got to show up. And he's got to show the Browns, you just lost $250 million by not playing, by not giving me that money. You're going to give it to him? Go for it.
This is crazy. Tyreek killed one of the Dolphins for 5 hits. Second to position. Should we end the podcast now? I bet breaking news. Should we end it now? Now or later? Which one? I walk out right now. Position. Hear it first.
That's asinine. You're crazy.
He's got the
crazy.
full package.
No way.
Speed.
I don't care. No way. I can't even. It's hard to even look at you right now when you say something like that. That's crazy.
We want to talk about legacy-defining plays and legacy-defining throws. 13 seconds, and you get the ball into field goal range. That is absolutely insane.
I'm going to be frank with you guys. Mitch Trubisky is not a good NFL quarterback. He has never been.
Okay. And guess what? In basketball, you use a basketball. In football, you use a football.
Long time no see, Meisty. We just released our last podcast yesterday on Tuesday, and here we are, right back at it. When we come back full force. We're not doing any of this half-baked business. You know what I'm saying? We come back full. And next week in person, God willing, perhaps, maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. Anyway, nice to see you, Meisty. Thank you for gracing the whole world with your presence. We very much appreciate it. Let's get into it, man. We got week 8 in the NFL. I'm a little upset because I got an email this week about something about like fantasy playoffs starting soon. And I'm like, in certain leagues, fantasy playoffs starts in week 11. So I'm like, or week 12 or something. I'm like, oh man, are we at that point in the season where fantasy playoffs are almost starting? Like, where does the time go? It's already week 8. It's already 2 months into the season. I feel like we just started the season. Like, football season always goes way too quickly, Meisty. Way too quickly. In fact, the last podcast we did, it was week 2. We were just starting. I mean, prior to the previous 2 podcasts ago, the last one we did before the holidays was week 2. We were just wrapping up week 2. We're like, wow, we got all this time. Now we still got a lot of time, and we're going to appreciate every second that we have. But, man, it goes by so quickly, Meisty. So let's waste no time. Let's appreciate everything that we have and get into some headlines. Before we get to the pick'ems, which we'll get to, and we'll get to Meistys Moneyline, the lock of the absolute week. The absolute lock of the absolute week, in the words of Meisty. Before that, Matt Ryan making the headlines, Meisty, for the second time in a few months. First getting traded, and then Matt Ryan, Meisty, going ahead and getting benched. Frank Reich benching Matt Ryan, Meisty. What's going on over there in Indy?
Yeah, I don't know what their plan is, what they're hoping. I mean, obviously there's changes needed. But in my opinion, first of all, I think they're using him as a scapegoat. I don't think Matt Ryan's the issue here. I would point at coaching. We learned that from past years, that they have coaching issues. I would blame that their defense might not be so good. Their running back keeps getting hurt. Their receiver keeps getting hurt. But no, let's blame Matt Ryan, who's not a bad quarterback. He's a little out, but he's not a bad quarterback.
No, he's not a bad quarterback, but he's definitely having his worst season of his career, not even close. I mean, he's a 32nd ranked quarterback this year, according to PFF. He has, 2 big-time throws the entire year, compared to 14 turnover-worthy plays. That's translated to 9 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. It's just been really bad for him. Now, granted, the situation hasn't been great. The offensive line's been awful. An offensive line that really he needed to play well, right? When you have an old quarterback like this, Meisty, like with Phillip Rivers, he relied heavily on the offensive line later in his career when he went to Indy. He needed that. He's not an athletic player. So with that being said, yes, you need to rely on that offensive line. And it hasn't been there, Meisty. It has not been there for him. But at the same time, he as an individual has not been playing well. We said before the year, Meisty, Matt Ryan is getting older. He's been declining steadily throughout the last few years. And it's hit a bottom point this year. On Indy, with everything around him sort of falling apart a little. Although they have a chance, they're still in the division race, but everything around him sort of falling apart, not coming into place like we thought it would before the season. And as a result of that, he's just not playing well, Meisty. And that's really what it comes down to. So I think that the Colts are making an interesting move here, moving on from Matt Ryan, going with the rookie. It's a fascinating move.
I'm seeing things. I don't know if it's true. I don't know how true it is. but a lot of people are talking about the contract situation with Matt Ryan. And the fact is, yes, they're paying him a lump sum, but the salary, if he got hurt, they would have to guarantee him more money. I'm not sure why. I don't know where the contract, something. So I think that they are kind of tanking this season, and we're like, you know what? Let's just save him for next year. Let's hope we come back next year better. And just, I mean, even though their division is still up for grabs, literally. So to me, let's see. Ryan has a $7.25 million in additional 2023 guaranteed for injury. So he will be paid an additional $7 million if he got hurt this year. That is why they pulled the plug on him.
Yeah, no, that's what's curious about it. Like, why is it that they are deciding him to put on the bench, even though they know they're gonna have to put this much money into him? I mean, they do want to give the rookie a chance, so that I understand. But at the same time, it's like, so you're not really calling your season quits, right? Like sometimes when teams do this with their veteran quarterbacks, they're like calling their season quits because we have a veteran quarterback. Okay, we're not really going to make the playoffs anymore, so let's just let him, do his thing. What do we need to Matt Ryan doesn't need to be tested anymore. Let's test our rookie quarterback and see what we have in him since the season's in the dumps anyway. But it's not. They're 3-1. They're a half a game or so behind the Titans, whatever the math is, right? Exactly. Half a game behind the Titans for first place, and it's not like they can't compete with the Titans. The Titans just seem to win somehow. I don't know how. They somehow seem to continue to win without great play. Tannehill threw the ball 20 times this week against the Colts. I mean, they don't throw the ball; they just run it with Henry all the time. They barely throw, and yet they win games. It's remarkable, Meisty. And but nonetheless, they're not a great. They don't have a great roster. They don't have a lot of playmakers. A.J. Brown has clearly hurt the passing game, the lack of A.J. Brown. So therefore, the Colts can take the division. So it's not a throwing in the towel move, but to a certain extent, it's like we're paying this guy all this money, and after 7 weeks, not playing well, we're going to bring the guy in. It's an interesting move. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other, but it's fascinating. It's intriguing and it's fascinating. That's all I have to say about it. I think that what's the rookie's name? It's driving me crazy.
Sam, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. It's Sam Ehlinger. Sam Ehlinger. Ehlinger. Ehlinger? I would assume it's Ehlinger.
Sam Ehlinger, that's it. Sam Ehlinger.
The crazy thing is that my theory on this whole contracts thing, by the way, I'm even more into it because they didn't just move Matt Ryan like, oh, you're benched to the second string. No, he's now the third string quarterback. He's backing up Nick Foles. Right? So that is like, and let's be honest, Matt Ryan's not retiring. I know he's 37. He ain't retiring. He might not have the arm anymore. He might not have the strength anymore. But like, yeah, maybe he will retire at the end of the year. Maybe he will. But I think he still has a year in him, maybe two. So I think that for the Colts to go in this direction, it's not the worst thing to go with the rookie. If the rookie doesn't work out, you can either go back to Matt Ryan or you can go to Nick Foles. Either or is an option. And like we said, I think that even in week 13, week 12, they'll still have a shot at their division. There's no chance that, like, unless they really start losing every game, that the Titans are really just going to run away with that division. It'll be tough for them to do.
Yeah, agreed. So what do we think about the James Robinson trade, though? So that was the other headline that happened this week. And like it happened breaking news as we were doing the podcast. So I didn't really have an initial reaction to it because sometimes my mind doesn't work quick enough to react on the spot. Sometimes, but most of the times I need to do a little research to think about these things, and I need to digest it for a second. So I don't really think this really changes much for the Jets or for the Jaguars personally, but maybe you have a different opinion.
So for me, I think that the reason why it makes a big difference here, I think that if you were to put Breece Hall and James Robinson next to each other and say, okay, who's better, right? I think most people would tell you that James Robinson is the better player. And therefore, that's why I think. And as a team that now they started off slow in the rushing game, but they quickly picked that up, and Breece Hall, until he got hurt, was running. The offensive line was playing fantastic. They were opening up holes. I mean, I could have freaking ran the way Breece Hall was running. If I had the speed, I think I would have done just as fine. He was just running right through. James Robinson, who's a veteran who is better than Breece Hall now, maybe not potentially, but now. And overall, James Robinson as a player is just someone that's a good player. He's hungry. So I'm looking forward to the Jets offense still being very powerful. And with Zach Wilson throwing the ball, I think it even opens up the rushing game even more, the way that Zach Wilson's been throwing it. So I'm a big fan of James Robinson. I've always been a big fan of James Robinson. I didn't understand why they did what they did to him in Jacksonville. I know that they brought in a rookie, but James Robinson started the season great. So I'm excited for him and the Jets. I think the Jets are a really good team, as I said earlier in the week. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think this has more fantasy implications than it does real life implications, to be honest. And even fantasy implications are limited. So I have James Robinson in our fantasy, Rocky and Meisty Fantasy League, who got 0.00 points for me last week, Meisty. And mind you, I lost by 1.5 points. So had James Robinson gotten like 3 carries or 1 reception, because we're in a PPR league, I would have won the game. So I'm very disappointed. Now I'm now. It's the PPR's fault. But point being that the Jets have the 28th best, the fifth worst run blocking grade in the league at 53.2.
Once again, we know they got off to a slow start, so we'll see. But yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's going to continue throughout the season, but Michael Carter will be the bell cow there either way. I think that's been pretty clear. From the beginning of the season, people were already saying, listen, it's going to take a few weeks for Breece Hall to really get a lot of the carries in the backfield, and that was the case. You know, it was a little more even than we thought, but Michael Carter still got a lot of the carries, still has more explosiveness to him. I still think Michael Carter is the number one back in that backfield. But yes, I do think James Robinson coming in here, I mean, it doesn't really change the dynamic too much. The only difference was that Breece Hall was more of this explosive, whatchamacallit. What's the word I'm looking for? Breece Hall was more of this explosive back, young rookie coming in there, you know, fresh legs and stuff like that. But I don't really think it changes that dynamic that much. And you already know my opinion on running backs in general, so because they're so dependent on the offensive line. But yeah, in terms of fantasy, it might have an implication. But coming into the year, even when we looked at the Jaguars, we said, well, Travis Etienne is going to take this backfield, right, Meisty? I mean, that's pretty much what the consensus was. And I believed that coming into the season. And then all of a sudden, the first few weeks, James Robinson, you know, breaks off a few big runs. And all of a sudden, he's getting fantasy points. And I'm like, why the heck did I put him on my bench? And then I start him, and he gets 0 points for me. So, you know, you never know what to expect with this guy. But the bottom line is, I am not so convinced that James Robinson is going to go into New York and suddenly become a bell cow and get, 25 carries a game and take Michael Carter over for that.
He's capable of it.
Perhaps. Perhaps that could perhaps be true, but yeah. Again, the Jets in general, like, how big of a chance are we giving them to really do damage this season? That right? So
I mean, there's a wild card spot wide open for them. Let's start with that. The fact is, the Ravens could face the Jets in Baltimore in the wild card round.
Let's think about this for a second, okay? Ravens, Bengals, so you got one wild card spot there, right? Dolphins, Bills, you got one wild card spot there, most likely.
It comes down to Dolphins and Jets, though. There's Dolphins and Jets.
You think that the Jets can beat that, can come out on top, to end the season with a better record than Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and all those boys? I mean, listen, they're clearly different offense with Tua. Even though Tua didn't play great in the second half yesterday and had 4 dropped interceptions last week against the Steelers, at the end of the day, they came out 13-0 lead. The offense looked very explosive, just like where they left off before Tua got injured. So, and they started the season off 3-0, really putting up really great numbers. I mean, it peaked with that game against the Ravens, but they beat the Bills. They were the only team this season to beat the Bills. And obviously, sometimes the defense shows up. Sometimes they have incredible playmakers that can show up as well. There's a lot of different facets. There's a lot of different things to like there in Miami. I don't know if the Jets can overtake them. I don't know if that's realistic.
It's not like the Jets are bad. They have a good defense. They have maybe the most underrated lockdown corners in the league, right? Some of the best cornerbacks. They're currently 5-2. They have somewhat of an easy schedule down the stretch. I like the Jets. I do like the Jets. I think that they can hang on. Also, the AFC West is completely scattering right now, and everyone's running. So we thought maybe there would be 2 teams coming out of the West. We can only have 1 team from the West. I mean, that was my prediction before the season, that the West is struggling. They're not going to be able to win games against each other, and they're going to hurt each other. And the Chiefs seem to be running away with that, and the Chargers are scraggling to win games. So at the end of the day, there is an open playoff spot. There's definitely an open playoff spot for the Jets. Is it theirs? No. Will they get it? Probably not. But is it open for them to take it? Yes. At 5-2 right now, they look very good to get that.
See, I don't think there's an open playoff spot. I mean, you have the Chargers. The Chargers are still coming into the season, we're one of the most highly rated teams in the league.
Last year.
No, I know they missed the playoffs. I'm saying coming into the season, now they obviously lost J.C. Jackson, but that was a part of it. J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, you have this explosive receiving core. Justin Herbert's only getting better. So at the end,
your receiving core keeps getting hurt.
No, it's true. It's true. But you can't, to say that the Jets are going to overtake them for that last wild card spot, or, who knows if they might win the division, the Chargers. There's still a long way to go. What do you say?
You gave an auto spot to the Bengals.
Yeah, I think you have to assume out of the Ravens and Bengals, one of them will make the wild card. Out of the Patriots and not the Patriots, Dolphins. I'm sorry, the Bills and Dolphins, one of them will grab a wild card, and then out of the Chargers and Chiefs, one of them will get a wild card. So the Jets will have to overtake one of those three teams. That's all I'm saying. It's not necessarily open for them.
Excuse me. They're 5-2. They need to pull some games together. By the way, let's see. Looking at they play the Seahawks over the next couple games. Jaguars, Lions, Vikings, Bears, Patriots. Yeah, they have to play the Bills twice and Dolphins again, but they don't have the hardest schedule. They don't play extremely hard teams. Besides for the Ravens, by the way, and they didn't even have their quarterback. They've been playing extremely well. Underrated, by the way, the Jets. Underrated. I'm a big fan of them.
Yeah, we discussed that at length in the last podcast as well. So go ahead and check that out. We discussed the most surprising teams thus far in the NFL, and the Jets were, or might have been one of them. I guess we gave it away already. Yes, the Jets were one of them, and we discussed why we think that they were more deserving of that position than their fellow the New York Giants. So one more thing I want to discuss, staying right in the AFC East. The Patriots. Mm-hmm. That is also a sticky situation. And I think if it was any coach other than Bill Belichick, we would be questioning a little more, taking out a guy that you just spent a first-round pick, 10th overall, just a year ago. And now you are benching him, coming back off the injury, playing about a half, not playing great, but playing about a half of football, and bringing in Zappy. And granted, they won a few games with Zappy, but, again, you drafted this guy in the first round a year ago. I don't know if this is a benching situation. I don't know if this is teaching him a lesson. I don't know if this is Bill Belichick trying to get cute, but it's interesting, man. It's interesting, Meisty.
Yeah, definitely an interesting situation that's going on. I think that the biggest issue that they're causing is that it's not good for anyone's confidence when you're told hit the bench. And if you're trying to have Mac Jones as your future quarterback, maybe he's not. But if Mac Jones wants to be your future quarterback, this isn't a good look. And if Zappe is your future quarterback, then you should be rolling with him. You got to pick or choose and roll with them. You can flip-flop maybe for a few weeks, but you got to pick. I really think Bill Belichick is getting ready to retire, and he said, you know what? I don't want the Patriots to be good when I'm done. I want them to think that it was all me. So I'm going to mess everything up, leftways and sideways, and when I'm done here, the Patriots will be left in shambles.
So you're saying all Bill Belichick is really trying to do is ruin this Patriots franchise, even though he's a young man. He's a young man still, Bill Belichick. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, Meisty.
What? Isn't he like 80 years old?
Young is relative. Listen, everyone has their own definition of young. That's all I'm saying. But no, it's an interesting situation. Mac Jones is an interesting project in his own right? Because right when the Patriots drafted him, they're like, is he really going to be good? I mean, he's like sort of this interesting project type quarterback that out of Alabama, you like Alabama prodigies. You always like guys coming out of Alabama, and that's why they always get drafted. There's always Alabama has like 7 or 8 guys drafted in the draft, right? So it was a project, but you still I feel like you have to give it a little more time. Like, at what point do NFL teams say, one year you weren't good, let's move on? No, Mac Jones had a solid rookie year. He played pretty well. He exceeded expectations last year. So he hasn't played well through a few games this season. It seems a little quick to move on from. Therefore, I don't think Bill Belichick's quite moving on from him yet. I don't know what it is yet. I'm still trying to figure out what it was. But I don't think it's we're benching him, we're moving on. I don't think it's what it was, Mike.
Yeah.
You agree?
I agree with you on that one. It'd be so crazy if that was the, like, oh, we're moving on. What are you moving on from? Who are you moving on from?
Yeah, I agree. Doesn't make any sense. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the rest of the season. And I think now, should we just move on to the pick'ems unless we have something else we're going to talk about? I mean, listen, we've only had like 2 days, since we've intervened before, so there's not that many headlines going on. But we got a good game of Week 8 NFL action. How many teams are on a bye this week? I don't know. We got 1, 2, 4 to 16. Let me look at my handy dandy spreadsheet over here. 11 games, 12, 13. All right, we got the 8 teams on a bye this week? 6 teams on a bye this week? 6 teams on a bye this week?
Oh, this is my favorite part of fantasy football. I live for bye weeks and trying to figure out who to play, and you have to trade and hope that you can trade for that guy back through like 6 other ways, and everyone's pulling and tugging here. Everyone's pulling. It's the push for the playoffs, as we talked about.
The best is also when you have like a guy that you sort of like having him on your team, but you don't need him on your team, and then there's a bye week, and then you're just gonna release him, right? Because like you don't really want to release anyone else who you feel more comfortable with having on your roster. So you're just gonna release that guy that's like he has a bye. That's like the nail in the coffin. You know what I'm saying?
I just opened 4 spots on my team after I let go of both Kenyon Drake. I let go of both Kenyon Drake and J.K. Dobbins off one of my leagues, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna open up spots. And I have an empty spot, but I ain't going to be for Kenyon and ain't going to be for JK.
All I'm saying is those bench spots are very valuable. Very, very valuable. Because that's what wins you leagues. I mean, half my team right now is not the players I drafted, as we talked about in the beginning of the season. Anyway, fantasy football is a whole different topic in and of itself. Important topic, granted. We take our fantasy football teams very seriously. I'm still upset over the 1.7 point loss that I suffered this week. But we'll rebound. We'll come back. The boys will come back strong, as always, as we always do. Stay strong. Now, let's move on, baby. We got our pick'ems. We got Week 8. Always exciting. You look at a full slate of NFL games, and it starts with the Ravens. Yes, the shirt I'm wearing. That is correct. The Ravens against the almighty Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, Meisty. What do we think? Who is winning this game?
I'm going to go with the ones and only Baltimore Ravens. Shocker.
Wow. Why is that?
Like I thought, assuming you're going with Tampa, I should mark you down for Tampa here.
The truth is, I've been going really back and forth on this one, and I did want to go Tampa because I feel like the Bucs have to have a comeback game at some point, right? They have to have a rebound game at some point in the future.
Why does it have to be now? Next week.
Right. So exactly. That's exactly the logic I'm going to go with. It's going to happen next week. Therefore, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Ravens as well. But I was going to go ahead and pick the Bucs. It just seemed like a good spot. But, the truth is Tom Brady's never had success against the Ravens. Right? The Ravens have always had his number. So in the playoffs, there were 2 times that there were the one time that they beat him. They beat him once or twice in the playoffs? Twice. They beat him twice. The wild card round in 2009, and then they beat him the Super Bowl run. They beat him twice, and they lost him twice. But both those years, it was the Lee Evans dropped pass, and then there was the year in 2014, the Ravens had 2 14-point leads on the Patriots. In that playoff run, and a couple late interceptions, the Patriots ended up winning by 3. Point being that they played him tough in the 2 games they lost, really tough. They beat him in the other 2 games. The Ravens have always somehow figured out Tom Brady, especially a Bucs team that for some reason is not coming together and struggling. So therefore, I am going to agree with you and go with the Ravens. Are you picking the spread over here, Meisty?
No, but I do think the one thing that we have to. How come the Ravens can't have nice things? Well, that's another time, another podcast. We'll talk about that another time.
What
Ravens can't have everything. The Ravens can never have anything nice. Okay, a 30-point lead, they're gonna blow it. Right? I saw people that came back from the Ravens. I spoke about this the other day. I saw people come back from the Ravens game, and I said to them, "Oh, you went to the Ravens game?" And they're like, "Yeah, I went to the game." I'm like, "They won." And they're like, "Yeah." No one was excited. No one cared. It was a brutal win. No one likes to see that type of win when you're up big and you fumble it late, and then you have to have a win on a missed field goal that goes 60 feet left. I mean, could we just get something nice? Could we just become a dynasty? Like, come on, Lamar, do something.
Wait, can I stop you there for a second? Because I think that Ravens fans complain either way. Because at the end of the day, what were we complaining about before this week happened? Oh, well, they have big leads, but they're blowing them. Now, well, they won, but they barely won. So what do you want? Do you want to win, or do you want to blow leads? I'm confused.
Why can't we be up? Why can't we be up by 20 points and keep the 20-point lead instead of making it a 1-point win and almost losing the game? That's unnecessary.
That's the most ideal. But you can't have your cake and eat it too, is all I'm saying. if you want them to just finish off games, it doesn't really matter whether they win by 1 or 20. They finished off the game against the Browns. Granted, there was some help. Granted, it was a very close call, but at the end of the day, they finished off the game, and we have to be grateful for the victory.
Oh, I'm grateful. I'm just saying, like, let's win, and not have to like hold my breath to hope that to know, not even to hope, because I said it before it happened, to know that the kicker was gonna miss. I knew he was gonna miss, whether it was the penalty or no penalty, he was missing. That was clear, but it's the Browns, but. The Ravens just get your act together, please. Anyway,
let's move on to
go
1
to
o'clock
London.
games. Actually, not 1 o'clock.
London.
9:30 a.m. London. We got the Broncos against the Jags, Meisty. Which way do you think this one's gonna go?
I'm going with the home team Jaguars, baby. All day.
I think the Jaguars have had more London games than anyone in the history of London games.
Every year, I think the Jaguars pretty much have played every single year there.
Yeah, you know why? You know why? Because they're the only team that doesn't mind giving up their home games. Not like their home field advantage is that great anyway. So you're going with the Jags. I'm also. The Broncos are struggling mightily, and I don't see this turning the corner. In the beginning of the year, I wanted to give them a little leeway. I'm like, okay, fine, a couple bad games against the Seahawks, and even the Niners game they pulled off on Sunday night wasn't great, and then. You had a couple games that sort of went their way, even though maybe it shouldn't have. But it's been 7 games into the season, Meisty, and this offense looks out of sync. It looks awful. And the Jaguars don't look great, too. They can't finish off games. But I'm still going to go with the Jaguars. By the way, that was rough last week, Meisty. 1 yard line. I mean, that reminded me of, like, the Titans-Rams 2000 Super Bowl. That was, like...
I know exactly what you mean.
Flashbacks, baby. That was rough. Okay, so
you know what the truth is? I have something to say on that, though.
Uh-huh.
You drop a play. You have to get to the end zone. What are we doing? I don't care if there's you as the quarterback have to throw it into the end zone. I don't care if you're throwing a jump ball. I don't care if a guy is sitting wide open at the 10-yard line. Unless there's no one even where he can get to the end zone, fine. But if the ball's not in the end zone, what are we doing? You got to throw it to the end zone. It's a big mistake. It's a big mistake that they make, but I see it all the time. I see it happen all the time. Like, throw it into the end zone.
Well, there's because you look at the end zone. I only saw them play once or twice, but if you look at the end zone, there's no one really feasible to throw it to. So at that point, your only option is either throw it to the end zone and just hope a miracle happens, or throw it short of the end zone and rely less on a miracle. That's really what it is. Just hope a guy can make a man miss. All you need is the receiver to make one guy miss, 2 guys miss. He's already at the 3-yard line. He's in the end zone. So that's really all you're relying on. But obviously, the most ideal is to throw it into the end zone. If that option is really, really not there, that's when you rely on that second option of throwing it short, hoping a guy misses, and getting into the end zone that way. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Let's move on to the next game. Falcons, Panthers. What the heck was that, Meisty? Last week, we're talking about a PJ Walker that comes in here and is throwing absolute dimes, outplaying Tom Brady, 21-3, commanding victory over the Bucks. Panthers team that's looked awful. The defenses look bad. Baker was in there the first few weeks of the season, did not look great, so much to the point, yes, he did get injured, but now they have a quarterback switch to PJ Walker. Not like the offense looked that much better, but this week, the exception of this past week against the Bucks, it looked great. So on the heels of that, I'm going to pick the Falcons. I still think that this is a team that you want to, you don't want to bet against too often, especially when it comes to spreads. And they still have great pieces there. Like, I'm still liking the prospect of Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Marcus Mariota. It's just a difficult offense to figure out. It's not like the craziest offense to stop. It's an interesting offense, though. It's like a 49ers light. Cordell Patterson is literally a Deebo Samuel light. And as a whole, I think the offense is like a 49ers light. So I think they're a difficult team to stop. And for a not such great Panthers team, I'm liking them to come back down to earth and lose to the Falcons this week.
Rocky, do you know who's number 2 against the spread this year?
Enlighten me.
The Carolina Panthers.
Is that right?
Okay. Yeah, it is 1 versus 2 for against the spread this week. Yeah, that's why I might have to be completely 100% wrong, but if I'm right, I think I'm right. I saw that today, but I think the Falcons just suck, and there's way more issues than just being on the Falcons. Is Cordell Patterson playing this week? No. I think they need him to win games. I'm going with the Panthers.
You're going with the Panthers, all right. I did not see that coming, but I know you don't like the Falcons very much. Cowboys, Bears. Interesting. Bears all of a sudden look fantastic coming out of the gate last week, Meisty. But are they that good, Meisty? Who wins this game? Cowboys, Bears.
I mean, if you think the Bears are going to win this game, I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. No, I mean, we've seen crazier things happen, and the Cowboys can always just do the most Cowboy thing and lose. But I have the Cowboys here.
Yeah, I have the Cowboys as well, and I don't really think it's because Dak Prescott came back. I just think the Bears stink. Now, you might be like, Rocky, what are you talking about? Didn't they just destroy the Patriots on Monday Night Football? That is correct. And but before we get to the Patriots, Justin Fields every once in a while has these games where you're like, well, this man's pretty good, right? I mean, he's got the running game, couple good throws in there. So all of a sudden, he looks pretty good, but it's rare. It's rare, and you can't rely on it to happen 2 weeks in a row.
It's like this. Here's my Justin Fields take, real quick. Justin Fields sucks. Every player in the NFL, it's quick. Every player in the NFL is good. Period. There's no one that's really that bad besides Rashard Perriman. No one's really that bad. Okay. These guys are freak athletes. They've been doing this their whole lives. They're capable of putting up huge numbers.
Why you got to throw shade on Rashard Perriman like that? Why him?
Because he screwed the Ravens.
Oh,
so I can't say that. But he happens to be. He went on after, and he did just fine after that. Right? He's still in the league today. So. He's still in the league. Yeah. So that just shows to you, right? So even Rashard Perriman figured it out. The guy who was dropping every ball that came his way. Hollywood Brown was having to go until he got hurt, was having an okay year this year, right? He wasn't dropping as many balls as he did in the past. So people, these guys are talented. They're capable of going off any given night, especially guys like Justin Fields who are super athletic. So yeah, you had one good game. Okay, so he's the most inconsistent human being. That's like, what, 1 out of every 7 games he's going to win you a game? So you end up with 3 wins a year?
Yeah, I'll give you the clap.
I'll give you a little golf clap.
Yeah, no, I agree. And especially against that stout Cowboys defense that has been carrying this team really for the most part of the season. The fact that they're 5-2 right now is a testament to that. With Cooper Rush there. Cooper Rush did a couple nice things, but for the most part, that defense was just absolutely incredible in Dak Prescott's absence. That should continue. And with that being said, Justin Fields will probably struggle against such a great defense. The defense is playing at a really high level right now. I mean, one of the best defenses in football. And therefore, I think that the Cowboys will reign victorious in this game as well. Lions, Dolphins, or Dolphins at Lions. In Detroit, we got the prolific Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Two is back against the Lions, who we can't seem to figure out, Meisty. So, who you got for this one?
I'm going to take the Dolphins spread here.
Ooh.
I don't know where the Lions are even going to score. They haven't scored in 2 weeks. What, they're now going to actually maybe the Lions inconsistent Goff, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Maybe he'll come back this time. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm going to take the Dolphins spread here. But I have to think about it.
I like your Dolphins spread. No, I didn't even think about that, but I actually like it. I forgot about the spreads for a second. So we're doing spreads here where you obviously get 3 a week, and I just completely blanked out about that one. Yes, but yeah, I like the Dolphins spread here as well. The Lions seem to get close, but don't seem to get over the hump. And yes, it's a 3.5 point line. Now, 3.5 point lines are very different than 3. If it was a 3 point line, I'm jumping on it, but I still like it. Dolphins have a lot of big plays in them. It was a weird game against the Steelers last week. A very weird game. Like, you can't expect Tua to put 4 passes right into the hands of DBs like he did last week. That was just weird. So that being said, I'm liking the Dolphins as well here, Meisty. And I'm going to take the spread with you as well. Cardinals at Vikings. I already know who you're going to pick here. Just tell us.
Cardinals and Vikings.
The spread is 3.5 in favor of the Vikings.
You know what, Rocky? Give me the Arizona Cardinals here. Give me the Arizona Cardinals. My Minnesota Vikings are going to fall this week. You know why? Because they can lose like 6 more games, the Vikings, and still win that division. It's so bad. That division might actually be the worst division in football, period. Is that crazy to say? Could I be? That's not crazy to think that, maybe.
No. You can't say it's the worst division in football. I mean, you still have the Niners just got Christian McCaffrey. Now, granted, we already talked. It's not the league.
No, wrong. Panthers. The Panthers. I'm talking about the Vikings.
Oh, the
Vikings.
The Vikings division.
Vikings, Packers, Lions, Bears. I don't think it's worse this year.
No, right. So heading into the season, I think we both thought that we all thought that the NFC East would be the worst division. But all of a sudden, every team there has like 1,000 wins. So it just doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, as it's looking right now, I think that you're right. Well, your initial thing was correct. The Panthers are in the worst division. I mean, the Saints don't look good. The Panthers don't look good. The Falcons are good. The Bucs were the only good team in that division going into the year, and now they don't look good. So, but we can argue, and we can argue from today to tomorrow whether or not the Vikings win that division. At the end of the day, time will tell. But they have done a couple nice things here. But I'm going to go with the Cardinals as well. I don't have an explanation for it. I just feel like. No, I do.
You don't need to explain yourself. It's just because you'll say Kirk Cousins.
Right. No, Kirk Cousins back. No, but listen, Nuke Hopkins came back. They did add a spark to the offense. We saw them putting up 42 points the last week, Thursday Night Football against the Saints, and he's going to add a spark. You still have the rushing upside with Kyler Murray. Literally, the only reason Kyler Murray has been doing anything for my fantasy team is because of his rushing upside. That is it. And that is why I drafted him. People don't understand. Kyler Murray's not that good. Well, he does run the ball well. You can't argue that. And with that being said, he's a good fantasy player. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Cardinals. Now that we've moved on from my fantasy takes, we can go to the Saints. Raiders at Saints. Raiders 1.5 is the spread, Meisty. Who you got?
I'm beyond confused. I'm literally checking to see if I'm the one that's a little cuckoo here.
Okay.
The Saints suck, right?
I mean, they don't. I wouldn't go that far. Like what?
Okay, the Saints are not a good team. Let's just start with that.
They're not a great team.
Right, and the Raiders are really good, even though they've been awful till now. But they played probably the hardest schedule in anyone that's gone up in the NFL. They faced their division in 3 games, and it's a disaster for what's going on. But I still like the Raiders. I think the Raiders spread here. I think the Raiders actually steamroll them.
I actually agree. Whoa, that's crazy. We have 2 similar spreads. No, I literally was going to pick the Raiders spread. I have it written down, Raiders 1.5. So let me just copy paste. You make my job easy over here. I love it. Anyway, I agree. I like Raiders 1.5. The Saints are not a bad overall football team, but they like to do a lot of interesting things. Like, what's their plan with Taysom Hill? What is he a tight end? Is he a running back? Is he a quarterback? Like, I'm not really.
Cares.
Right, I guess who cares? That's one way to look at it. So it's like Andy Dalton touchdown pass to Taysom Hill. It's a fascinating phenomenon over there. It's fun to watch for sure, but at the end of the day, it's a little confusing. So
great to watch. It's great to watch him in fantasy. Also, the tight end scoring touchdowns and passing and kick return. You had a kick return almost for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And what he's doing from the tight end spot.
So true. I completely agree with that. So I'm going to agree with you and go ahead and rely on that. Devontae Adams hopefully will play this week for the sake of the Raiders, for the sake of my fantasy team. That's our. By the way, if we had a ticker on the bottom of the screen, how many times? What?
I just traded for him in a league.
Did you? What'd you give up for him?
I actually got James Robinson and Devontae Adams, and I gave up Monte Stevenson and who did I give up as the other receiver?
Well, we talk about it because I'm curious.
Maybe CD. I gave up CD.
CD Limp.
I gave up CD.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Ramondre. It's a very interesting trade. CD and Ramondre for the Raiders receiver.
That's an interesting trade. I would say if we were to have a ticker maybe over at the bottom of the screen about how many times we mentioned our fantasy teams throughout the podcast yet, we probably 5 or 6. Right, we always get that. You always have to get that in there. Like, I have a thing where I try not to talk about any other leagues besides the Rocky and Meisty league on the podcast, just because that is our league. There is like that, but because you have Devontae Adams, but I also have Devontae Adams. Like, no, so I'm gonna kind of keep back to that. I kicked it off this week. I let myself loose, but I'm gonna try to bring that back. But yes, I agree with you. I like that. Stay. It's like piece to the stay true to the league in the podcast that we're talking about right now. We got the little logo on the corner over there. So wait. There. Where is it now? No, the logo's over here. See, I'm the producer for Morty today, so I see what's going on, and my logo's over here. Yeah, there it is. Beautiful logo over there. Grabbing the logo over there. It's beautiful. Where's my logo? Shout out to the people that made our logo. So let's move on to Jets Patriots, which is, what's the line over here, Jets Patriots? Interesting. You know who's favorite in the Jets Patriots game? Guys.
Blows my mind, by the way. Blows my mind.
The Patriots, despite their struggles, despite the Jets on fire, the Patriots are good 2.5-point favorites on the road. Vegas still not liking New York. And I'm going to agree with them. I'm going with the Patriots here. After last week, does Bill Belichick come out and put out 2 duds like that 2 weeks in a row? I'm not relying on it. So therefore, I'm going to go with the Patriots. I do think the Jets have to come down to earth to some extent. If they're 6-2 after this week, which they could be, the Patriots are struggling. Ooh, watch out. But I'm going with the Patriots this week, Meisty.
This is wow. I mean, I just hyped up the Jets. But it's Bill Belichick versus the Jets. You know how that goes.
Exactly.
You already saw their playbook, right? Didn't Bill Belichick right here? I already know their playbook. So I'm gonna have to take the Jets here. I don't know. I mean, at home, crowd's loud. Belichick, the Patriots are just not a great team. They're so good. They're so well coached though. And they have I don't know. Give me the Jets. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, give me the Jets. Let's move on.
Fair enough. Let's go. Give me the Jets. Let's move on. That about says the whole story, right? Okay. Because it's the Jets. We move on. What's happening with the Jets? What is?
They're hot. They're 5-2. It's hot. They're hot. They're hot. They're 5-2. They started the season 0-1. They lost first game, so since game 1, they're 4-1. I know they had a lucky week 2 win, but regardless, it's Bill Belichick. It's first. You could go either way when it comes to Bill Belichick versus division. If the Patriots beat the Bills, I wouldn't be shocked. It's just Bill Belichick.
Battle of Ohio. We got the Eagles, the Steelers. These two teams don't get to see each other very much, although they do play in the same state. Just saying, underrated. So Eagles, Steelers.
You just called it the Battle of Ohio, Battle of Pennsylvania.
Battle of Pennsylvania. Thank you. What am I saying? Right. There is. Oh, you know why I said that? Because there is a Battle of Ohio this week. The Bengals are playing the Browns.
Correct.
Okay. You'll excuse me. I didn't take geography in school. No, I did actually, and I used to be good at geography. But of course, as we get older, a couple white hairs start to grow. We forget our information. What white hairs, Rocky? You're not that old. What are you talking about? What?
That's Morty. The highway between Philly and Pittsburgh.
Pennsylvania Turnpike, 76 Pennsylvania Turnpike. Yeah. I know all about it. I've been to Pittsburgh. I've been to Philly, and I still didn't know what states they're playing in. Eagles and Steelers.
The Battle of the 76ers.
The Battle of the 76. There's a 76 highway in Philly, I think. It's like the Beltway over there. Don't quote me on that. I don't trust my geography anymore. But I do know it's the Pennsylvania Turnpike that divides Philly. And it's also another way to get from Philly to New York, actually. But anyway, Eagles, Steelers. We got the Eagles coming in as the hottest team in football right now, Meisty. 6-0. The Steelers are 2-5. So I think I know where you're going to go with this one. But I think I know where almost everyone in the football world this week is going to go with this one. But please, confirm.
I'm going to have to pick the Steelers. No, I'm just kidding.
I knew you were going to do that.
No, I'm being real, though, when I say this. The Pittsburgh Steelers might be the hardest hitting team in the league. And they might actually be able to hit their way through a win here. It would be the most craziest of wins, a double digit, spread. I'm gonna take the Eagles obviously to be safe here, but I would not be shocked if Pittsburgh pulled off some incredible win.
Yeah, it happens to be. I was talking to my cousin's a Steelers fan. He's from Pittsburgh, and I was talking to him, and he's like, "We're gonna get killed."
He's biased.
No, he said we're gonna get killed. No, on the contrary, all Steelers fans are being pessimistic now. So, so we're gonna get killed next week. Just look at 6-0, 2-5. I'm like, this game might be a little closer than you think. The Steelers, Eagles again, Battle of Pennsylvania. Thank you very much. It's a battle of the same states. At the end of the day, there's an interesting rivalry with two teams that don't play very often, but also the hard fought, those type of franchises, right? They have the chip on their shoulder franchises. You know what I'm saying? What's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. Chip on their shoulder franchise. Let's just call it that. The point being, yes, the Eagles I do think are going to win this game, but it's a 10.5-point line. I'm not going to pick the Steelers to cover. I could see them covering, especially you're probably expecting the Eagles to come back down to earth. Rusty from the bye week, I don't know, but at the end of the day, I do think the Eagles might come back down to earth a little bit here. I can't see them playing at this high of a level throughout the rest of the season. I mean, I think they're a great team. Before the season, I said they're gonna win the division, which is looking pretty good right now. But at the end of the day, the Steelers are just not looking great right now.
The only thing really that I love about the Eagles this week is the fact that the Phillies went to the World Series, and that city is pumping right now. That sports town is pumping. So the fans are going to be ready to come into the undefeated, stadium and it's going to be so loud. They're going to be it's going to be an incredible atmosphere. And the Steelers fans, they travel pretty well, especially when it's just a highway away.
Did you see the Thursday? Did you see the Sunday night game against the Dolphins?
Well, that's Miami.
Where we were.
But the truth is this is a typical Miami. If watch any Miami home game, okay, there are so many of the away fans, and the reason is because why wouldn't you say, oh, let's go to Miami for vacation? Right. While we're at it, let's go watch our favorite team play football in beautiful weather. So it happens, and it sucks, but it happens to them.
Yeah, but most Steelers away games feature thousands of Steelers fans. You have terrible
Steelers here. I've seen it. They're packed. The Bills, the Eagles, the Chiefs, these guys, they pack house.
Absolutely,
they make it loud.
They're probably the best traveling fans in the league. But
no, Bills, but
right, they're close. It's close. It's a close one. Titans at Texans. Here we go. We got another division battle. This is I'm not intrigued.
Week of football.
What?
It's gonna be like the most boring week of football.
Well, who you got this one?
But it's football.
Exactly. Football. Who you got? Titans, Texans.
I'm gonna just take the plain old Titans, and I'm just gonna watch this game to be excited for that one time that they get stopped at the 1 yard line. They hand it to Derrick Henry, and he runs for 99 yards. I'll be there to watch it.
I love that. That is the Titans in a nutshell, right? You're not really sure where the offense is coming from. You're not sure where the wins are coming from. They're 4-2 suddenly.
We know where their offense is coming from. We just don't know where wins are coming from.
Right. Yeah, that's right. The running game. Okay, sure. I can accept that. Ryan Tannehill doesn't want to throw, right? He refuses to throw. Let's just hand the ball off. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe that's what he's being told.
Might be the best coaching decision.
Right. I think you could call Vrabel the geniuses upon geniuses. Didn't he win Coach of the Year last year? I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
Point being that, yes, he deserves it because he's a good coach, and somehow the Titans are always good. So with that being said, I'm going to go with the Titans as well. Commanders at Colts. Are we seeing an upset here? Are we going to go with the Commanders? Matt Ryan getting benched. All of a sudden, you get a 6th-round rookie in there. I forgot his name again, even though we mentioned it in the beginning at the top of the podcast. What's his name again?
I don't know. Sam. His name is Sam. Ellinger.
I even Googled it.
Ellinger. Sam. We're just going to call him Sam.
All right, let's call him Sam. So Sam's in there for the Colts under center. Who you got, Meisty?
I'm riding with the Commanders, baby. Give it to me. Those Colts stink. They stay. And you think some 6th-round pick? What? Because you think it worked with the Patriots and Brady? It's going to work with you? Come on, man. It ain't going to work. This is a 6th-round draft pick. There's a reason everyone else for 5.5 rounds let him go. Whatever round. No, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not buying it. And I think actually he gets benched at some point and Nick Foles comes in. I think that's how bad of a game it's going to go. If Jonathan Taylor plays, maybe he gets going and they can run it. But their offensive line is so atrocious. It's brutal. I mean, their injuries it's piled up for them. It looks like they're almost like the Ravens last year. So to me, I'm going with the Commanders. They're exciting. They're excited to play. They have Taylor Heineke now back under center. I mean, this is exactly where the Commanders want to be. Can't believe I'm calling them the Commanders. Anyway,
we have to tick the box of mentioning fantasy team again because Terry McLaurin. I mean, the guy's so unpredictable. He went weeks without doing much, and then all of a sudden last week he gets a big touchdown, a couple big receptions outside of that. I think Taylor Heineke likes Terry McLaurin more than Carson Wentz does. I'm convinced of that. So if Taylor Heineke's under center, I probably should start Terry McLaurin this week.
I have a better take for you. I give you a better reasoning for that.
Okay, let's hear. I'm all for it because
Carson Wentz just can't complete the pass to Terry McLaurin.
But it's not like their offensive production is that much different with Heineke than it is with Carson Wentz. It's just not to McLaurin. A couple weeks ago, they played against the Titans. They had these big plays to what's his name, Damian Brown. I forgot what his name is. There's a rookie receiver on the Commanders. And he had 2 huge plays down the field. I'm like, why couldn't that be Terry McLaurin? 2 big touchdowns. Easily could have gone to Terry McLaurin. No reason whatsoever not to. And for some reason it went to him. But of course they're going to go with the open receiver. So fine. I'm going to go with the Commanders as well, just because it's too much of a question mark over there under center for the.
I can't believe you saw that right now.
I get alerts on my.
All right.
I get alerts on my computer. It pops up. I see your text. I just popped up on my thing. Okay. Anyway,
That's too funny.
that's way too funny. All right, let's move on. 49. The whole crowd right now is like, what are they laughing about? The answer is that me and Meisty just know we can read each other's minds. So I know exactly what he was thinking at that time, and I knew it was a funny joke or something. So I started laughing at the answer. Okay, let's move on to the Niners at Rams. Let me go first here, and I'm going to say that the Rams are going to cover plus 1.5. Ooh, Christian McCaffrey's coming in. Niners are going to do great. Yes, the Niners are a good team. And again, Kyle Shanahan does a lot of creative things with that offense. And I hope Brandon, you mentioned my fantasy team again. I hope Brandon Ayuk breaks out this week because it's always someone else. Who is it? Is it going to be Kittle this week? Is it going to be Ayuk? Is it going to be Debo? Now we have Christian McCaffrey added to the equation. Who's it going to be this week? I don't know. But I think that the Rams sort of need to rebound a little. Slow start to the season. The offensive line has looked really bad. So they need a rebound. They're the Super Bowl defending champs. A little pride here, right? A little pride here. Still a great passing game. A tough one to stop, although the Niners have been playing pretty well. It's a division battle, so these are always going to be close, hard-fought games. But being that it's a 1.5 point, the Rams are underdogs against the team that I think they're probably a little better than. I'm going to go with the Rams. And the line.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on this one. For a while, I thought about the 49ers were going to win, but I think that once again, you have to put division into this. Sean McVay, it's a division game. It's more tense. Everything's, sorry about that. Yes, I just think that the intensity is not where the 49ers are not on the 49ers side. I think the Rams are capable of running away with this. I think that Aaron Donald's going to get literally 3 or 4 sacks this game. It's going to be one of those disasters.
Help me out with the next one over here. We got the Giants at Seahawks. I'm back and forth on this one because it's both teams I'm very confused about. Like the Giants, we don't really know why they're good. The Seahawks, we know why they're good because the guy who's been a backup for a million years all of a sudden came out and he's a top 5 quarterback in football. But that really confuses me. So I'm going to let you go first here. Seahawks, Giants. Right? Right?
I'm going to have to take the home team Seahawks here. I think that it just comes down to not making mistakes. And I think that when it comes down to Daniel Jones versus Geno Smith, Daniel Jones makes that mistake before Geno Smith makes that mistake. The defense on the Seattle side will get going. We'll be able to make enough stops with the help of the crowd. I think it's going to be a loud game, as every Seahawks game is. I am ready for the Giants to lose games. Let's go.
I think we're all ready for the Giants to finally lose a stupid game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the Seahawks as well. And not to copy or anything, but if you look at this, Vegas sort of agrees with me because the Seahawks are 3-point favorites at home, which means in a neutral field, it would be 0. So at the end of the day, this is an extremely closely competitive game. Again, two teams we don't really understand. I'm going to go with the Seahawks too. Geno Smith's playing really well. Maybe it's, as our guest star said last podcast, Pete Carroll's system. It's possible. Still have great weapons. Metcalf. Is Metcalf playing this week? Do we know about that? Is Metcalf playing?
Oh, yeah. I think it's a game time decision. Most likely, I think he's out. I don't know, though. But he'll be back. He'll be back.
As long as Tyler Lockett plays, because, you know why. So Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, again, still great receivers. And I'm going with Seahawks as well. Sunday Night Football. Dun, dun, da, da, dun, dun, da, 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 dun. Good game, on paper at least. Packers at Bills. And by the way, the Packers are 11.5-point underdogs, Meisty. What world are we living in? Aaron Rodgers, the bad man, and the Packers are 11.5-point. Now, granted, we're talking about the team that everyone agrees is the best team in football. But 11.5-point underdogs, Meisty. You buying that? You buying this?
I just might be, man. I might. You're talking about Josh Allen, prime time. I mean, what isn't lined up here for the Bills? Coming off, do they just have a bye? Oh my gosh, a well-rested Bills team in prime time? Oh, I don't know what could go wrong for the Packers. I mean, you're talking about a team. I mean, they're not going to lose 4 straight, will they? I guess they will. I mean, this is one of those games that I think are just an ugly Sunday night football game, and I think the Bills do. I think the Bills. You know what? I was going to take the Bengals spread. Let's ride. Bills spread, baby.
11
Give
and
it
a half.
to me.
It's 11.5, mind you. 11.5. You're for it.
baby. They're going to win by 37.
They're going to win by 37. Way too much confidence. I will say I do think the Bills are going to win
37-0. How are the Packers going to score? Who's going to score for the Packers? Aaron Jones is going to run? Who?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Aaron Jones is gonna receive for a touchdown. He's like their best receiver.
Aaron Rodgers is gonna scramble for one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the bad man Aaron Rodgers. You just don't know where the production is going to come from. But at the end of the day, losing this game, the Packers are going to be a tough spot. The Vikings are playing against a Cardinals team that's up and down this season. They take that at 6-1. The Packers lose their 3 games behind first place, losing to the Vikings already. So that's going to put them in a tough spot. It's a big game for the Packers, and they're not exactly playing against a team that you want to when you need a win. You know what I'm saying? This is not the team you want to play against. It's just too good. I said at the beginning of the year, am I ever going to pick against the Bills? So far, I have not, and I'm going to continue that trend. I'm not picking against the Bills either. Monday Night Football, Bengals at Browns, the Battle of Ohio. By the way, I want to know, when's the last time we've had a Battle of Ohio and Battle of Pennsylvania in the same week? That's what I want to know. So we should have, if Morty was here.
Probably the last time it happened was also the same week that we had the Battle of LA. No, I don't know. And the Battle of New York. I think that's what we need. Ravens, Commanders, Giants, Jets,
Right.
Bengals, Browns, Pittsburgh, Philly, Rams, Chargers, or 49ers. Make it a 3-way game. I mean, come on, let's do it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
That would be so cool. Could you imagine if that happens all in 1 week? Then you would be like, well, the NFL schedule is obviously just randomized, right? Wink, wink. Anyway, Bengals at Browns. Again, Battle of Ohio. So I already know you're going to pick the Bengals because you said you were thinking about picking their spread. So just confirm.
Yeah, we're taking Cincinnati. The reason also I don't think that's now the Cleveland had some nice comebacks over the last couple over weeks that they've lost, but the Browns in general keep it close. They're just like the Lions. They just keep it close, just don't get the win. I think they've covered their spread quite often this year, so that's why I'm not going to go against the spread. But to think that the Bengals are going to lose this game, yeah, right.
I agree. I'm going to go with – actually, I don't know, because the Browns keep a lot of games close, right?
Correct.
But, like you said, they pulled a few of them off. It's not like we're sitting here in a season where they're 0-7. They won 2 of those close games, you know? 4 of the games that they lost, with the exception of the Patriots game, they, blew them. I mean, the Jets game, that was the biggest blown lead of all time. The Chargers game, what happened with that Brandon Staley went for it on fourth and 1 on his own territory, and then they got the ball back, and then they missed the 54 or 55-yard or whatever it was. It was a long kick, but they missed the field goal. And then it was the Patriots game they got, and then the Ravens game last week, and the Patriots game was the only game they got blown out. They lost to the Falcons by 3. And this is a team that really plays competitive football. Do I want to go with the upset, Meisty? Do I want to go with the upset? You know what? Let me be bold and go with the upset. Again, the Browns lose this game, they're going to be 2-6. Even though Deshaun Watson's return is on the horizon, 3 more weeks following this week. Week 12 is when he will return, I believe. So therefore, I think that the Browns are going to sort of put themselves in a position where they're under 500. But here's Deshaun Watson coming in. They still have 6 games left to the season. Maybe they can make maybe they can make a late playoff push. So in order for them to stay in the hunt, 2-6 is not a great look. So I'm just going to pick the upset and go with the Browns just to be a little bold. That's really what this is all about. All right. You ready for the pick of the week?
Oh,
It's bold. I know.
yes. After all this,
Okay,
here
so
we are.
let's do it. Now, first time in 5 weeks, let's get stoked for Meistys Moneyline.
Yeah, so before we get started, obviously, you each are responsible for your own gambling. Do not come to me for a refund if this does not hit. And if you have problems, call 1-800-GAMBLERS because I can't help you either with that.
Housekeeping.
And with that, we're going to pick Meisty's one team that's going to absolutely cover their spread this week. And I am going with the Miami Dolphins. Let's ride. Let's let them destroy the Lions. There's no reason why the Lions score here. There's no reason why the Lions move the ball here. If Amon-Ra is out, they have this much chance. If Amon-Ra's in, they might have this much chance of covering the spread. There's not a lot of options for the Lions. Miami's trying to win games. As we said earlier, with the Miami and the Jets situation, Miami needs to win games. Yes, the Jets will probably fall apart at some point, probably like they always do. But if they don't, Miami needs to get wins. Miami will need to the Jets and Miami. It could come down to game week 16, 17, 18 for those teams. So I am picking the Miami Dolphins as my Meistys Moneyline.
Love it. I like that pick a lot. I'm going to go with the Rams. Plus 1.5 against the Niners. I guess I'm just biased against the Niners because they got Christian McCaffrey and I didn't like the trade. But at the end of the day, like we mentioned, does this trade make the Niners better? Yes, it makes them a better football team.
Better.
Yeah, right. No, it does. But at what cost? To give up 4 first-round picks. And now to invest $12 million, he's due $12 million per year for the next 3 years. To invest that much into a guy that's not going to make that big of an impact on our team, a little. It's going to make you a little better. But it's not going to make you incredibly better. It's not going to put you in the playoffs all of a sudden. And you have a Rams team that are hungry for a couple wins here, that really need a rebound. There are Super Bowl hangovers. There are certainly a lot. Teams always struggle, right, to make the playoffs the year after they win the Super Bowl. It's an interesting phenomena. But at the end of the day, I'm liking them to take this victory. Maybe Sean McVay figured out Kyle Shanahan finally because he struggled all those years. Maybe. I'm just suggesting. But I am going to say Rams plus 1.5. You're giving them points. The better team, you're giving them points even though it's on the road. I am liking the Rams to take it.
I have a question for you, Rocky.
Go ahead.
Maybe we could talk about this in different podcasts. But what do the 49ers do when next season when Elijah Mitchell's back? What we're going to –
Is he out for the season? Is he out for the season?
Is he not?
I haven't been fed. He's sitting in my IR. I'm waiting. I'm with bated breath.
I thought he was just out for the season. I don't know. I thought he was out for the season. Maybe he's not. I have no clue. I have not been following up on that. I just came to my head like even if he comes back this season, now what? We're gonna have a split. You're really gonna go out there and split back them? Are we really gonna go do that? We're gonna split back McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. That's worse than Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. I thought one of those would get. I thought Kareem Hunt's going to get traded, and he still should get traded. But it's Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell splitting carries and splitting plays, and I don't know. And give up 4 picks to do that. I think they should be trading Elijah Mitchell, if you ask me.
No, I agree with you. And not only that, Jeff Wilson's the leading running back in that class this year. He's been the leading running back.
Jeff Wilson and Elijah Mitchell and get all their picks back.
Exactly. Then you just returned. So Christian McCaffrey, that would be an interesting exchange. But nobody's giving up that much because they're smarter than the Niners are being in this situation. And I completely agree with
there's
that.
always the Browns. There's always the Browns. Okay.
No, but the Browns have Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So.
As I said, there's always the Browns. Okay.
No, but I'm on board with you here, Meisty. I think it's a loaded backfield. And like I said, Deebo Samuel is plenty featured in the backfield over there, right? Just through 7 games this year, he has 24 carries over there. So, yes, it doesn't really make any sense to me. As I mentioned when we discussed the CMC trade a couple of days ago, they have spent 3 draft picks on running backs over the last 2 years. Most teams don't even draft running backs nowadays. Most teams pick up running backs undrafted, maybe draft them in the 6th or 7th round. Not 2 straight years. They used the 3rd round pick on a running back, Meisty. 2 straight years. And their leading running back is the guy they signed as an undrafted free agent in 2018 in Jeff Wilson. So, yes, Eli Mitchell's going to come back. He was the guy that was supposed to take over the backfield over there. Trey Sermon did not work out. It's always another guy there. The Niners are fine without them. They're making deep playoff runs. At the end of the day, it's a curious, head-scratching trade. Yes, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm scratching my head because I'm not really sure what the Niners are doing over here. So I agree, but I think we discussed that enough, and it's curious. It's quite curious. I'm curious to see how it's going to pan out. Like if McCaffrey all of a sudden, he's rushing for like 100 yards every game, everyone's going to be like, oh look, well, what are you talking about? It was worth the 4 picks. No, I mean, is it really like in a Kyle Shanahan system? Can you really prove anything from that? Running backs are successful in Kyle Shanahan's system. They have a successful running game. Like it's not necessarily going to prove anything to us. The fact that they're getting that amount of production. So I completely agree. Let's wrap it up, Meisty. Week 8 is coming up tomorrow night. I hope you're getting your beers ready because tomorrow night is the Ravens game, right? I mean, you can't.
I know it's so unfortunate. I haven't to be for me. It's so unfortunate. I'm driving tomorrow morning to Virginia, and hopefully I leave before at 3:00 so I can get back by 8. But if I leave at 4:00.
How long?
I'll be driving like this. I will be driving like this.
That is very safe. How long of a drive is it?
5 hours.
5 hours? Goodness, you're going to miss the first half. You're gonna miss,
No, stop it. The game doesn't start at 6. It starts at
8:20. 8:20, 8:15, 8:20. 8:15. 8:15, right? Fine. So you leave at 3. Get there 8. Oh, that's true. Possibly. Okay. Either way, I'll give you a play-by-play. We can go on Discord and we can do a little play-by-play like we did last week. That was quite fun. Yeah, but it's different when it's the Ravens game. You know what I'm saying? It's just different. Anyway, get ready. Week 8. Even if your team is not playing, sit back and watch Red Zone. I mean, there's nothing better than watching Scott Hansen do his thing and somehow get through 7 hours without going to the bathroom on Sunday afternoon. It makes no sense to me. I really don't understand how he does that. It's unbelievable, unhuman. Like, he's a good man. He's committed to his job, obviously. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Remember to subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And have a wonderful weekend.